we had some more news for the New York Rangers. They have fired their head coach David Quinn after 3 seasons with the team. This was expected. I'm pretty sure we mentioned this a couple of times. We've been talking about the Rangers for the last couple of weeks now. And I'm pretty sure we mentioned it a couple of times in one of those videos. In addition to this, though, they also fired three of his assistant coaches, who are David Oliver, Jacques Martin, and Greg Brown. So a lot of people are getting fired, Mario. And on top of that, they also fired general manager Jeff Groton and team president John Davidson last week, which we talked about. I'll link in the description down below. So there's a lot going on in New York. Tom Wilson situation. The Rangers criticized the situation. He only got fined like $5,000 and wasn't suspended. They criticized it. They ended up getting fined $250,000 for that. We also talked about that. Um, and then them and the Capitals got into like 6 fights in one whole game in like 4 or 5 minutes. So there's a lot going on in New York, Mario. And by the way, if you want, I'll link all those videos in the description down below. Um, and I have a quote from newly promoted general manager and president Chris Drury. He says in that quote, "I would like to thank David Quinn, David Oliver, Jacques Martin, and Greg Brown for all of their efforts and dedication to the Rangers. I wish each of them the best in their future endeavors. We will begin a search for a new head coach immediately." And we've been talking about head coaches quite frequently, Mario, since the NHL season's nearing its end. The playoffs start Saturday, so it's time for them to start looking for a coach and do it quick before all other teams fire their coaches and do what they gotta do. So before I pass on to you, Mario, I just want to say this article was written by Emily Kaplan from ESPN. So I'll let you start off first, Mario.
First of all, I wish David Quinn the best of luck. Yeah, and obviously the New York Rangers. Obviously, we were talking about this a lot. How we were expecting them to get a new head coach because obviously the New York Rangers haven't been a winning franchise recently. Obviously, last year they made it to the playoffs, but that was due to a shortened season. Um, but personally, Nate, I'm looking at some like names in this list, and one name that really pops up to me is John Tortorella. I'd really like to see John Tortorella make a second run for the New York Rangers because the problem with the New York Rangers is they can't make the playoffs, and John Tortorella can definitely take them there. Obviously he hasn't had a lot of success in the first or second round, but he can definitely take them there. And I think the New York Rangers are a pretty talented team to the point where they can make that run. And what better way to do it? Because their star player, Artemi Panarin, used to be a player under John Tortorella. So I really think that could definitely help the New York Rangers. Another guy I'm really looking at, Nate, he's not even a coach, is Mark Messier. I'd love to see Mark Messier coach his team. And the reason why is because A, he's a New York Rangers legend, so he'd be beloved in New York. And number two, he's talked about how he wants to help this team. So I could definitely see Mark Messier making a run as a coach and doing a very good job. Because in the NHL, you really don't hear a lot of players coaching. I mean, obviously there's a few to come to mind. Ron Wilson is one. Dan Belisma is another one. The most notable one is probably Randy Carlisle. Randy Carlisle was a great NHL player. You got Bordeaux. You got Bordeaux as well. Joel Quenneville. And Joel Quenneville, by the way, is still on the coaching market. So you got a lot of coaches who used to play in the NHL, but again, not a lot have had a lot of success in the NHL as a coach. So when you really look at it, Nate, I'd really like to see Mark Messier not only become a Hall of Fame player in New York, but a Hall of Fame coach in New York. And for John Tortorella, I'd like to see him make that second run and get a second chance at becoming a new head coach of the New York Rangers. Now, obviously, that coaching portal is very, very small right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, there are a lot of teams that are in need for a new head coach, especially the new expansion team, the Seattle Kraken. They're got to find a new head coach as well. So it's going to be pretty competitive, and I can't wait to hear the news. And obviously, we'll definitely talk to you about new head coaches being signed. But it looks like the Rangers are definitely making a 360. It looks like they are really ready to turn this team around and build a completely new identity around this team. They could build a completely new way of playing hockey around this team because recently they just haven't been great. So with that being said, I wish the New York Rangers the best of luck. Same thing to David Quinn. I wish him the best of luck in his future NHL coaching career, and we'll see what happens.
Right, best of luck to everybody that was fired for the New York Rangers. I wish you guys the best of luck moving forward. Same thing with the Rangers. Not too much luck because you are in the Eastern, and there's a team called the Bruins, but it probably doesn't matter because we're always a top three team. So yeah, screw it. But look, yeah, Mario, like you said, they're turning this team around, and they have some pretty talented players, like you mentioned, but I feel like the problem with New York is not the drama, because this New York's always full of drama, dude. But I think the problem is they don't have the right leader. You know, what I mean, I think that's what that is, and I think that's why David Quinn and his assistants were fired. You know, that's why there's a lot of front office firings going on. You know, they don't have the right people running the show, and that's what I think needs to happen in New York. They have the players, it's just the people running the franchise just aren't doing what is necessary to make the team go further and further and further. So I think that's the problem with the New York Rangers, and I'm glad that they're addressing them. I'm glad they're adjusting them. I'm glad they're turning the team around and trying to make changes for the future. And whoever they hire for the head coaching job, because there's a lot of them out there, I do wish them best of luck. I wish the Rangers the best of luck in finding new head coach, new assistant coaches, and yeah, we'll just see how this goes.